grew up in Port Neches, Texas, a small town in southeast Texas, industrial city.
14P, blue.
I had an opportunity to play on state championship football teams, AAA ball in Texas, and I think that helped me never be concerned as whether or not I could win at things at some time or another.
You know, he had a little bit of trouble deciding what he wanted to do in life. First, I think he toyed with the idea of being a minister, and I've told him he could have made a whale of an evangelist. You know, taking up collection 3 or 4 times. And
they used to call him the preacher. This was true, for he would preach from his heart about the only way he knew.
If you've ever been to a funeral service or a dedication where he speaks, he can really do a wonderful job. He talked at the dedication of the Albert Bicknell Surgery Center, and I looked around to see if Albert was well. He'd said so many nice things about him, I thought he was sick. As a matter of fact, I've heard a lot of people saying a lot of nice things about Jim here today, and I just wonder, Rick, do you know whether he's real sick or something?
My perception of him prior to getting to know him on a personal level was boss hog. Kind of a robust individual who walks into the room and takes control immediately. All eyes and ears turn to that person, and he gets things done the way he wants them done.
Dr. Glass and I, at that time, had a very large obstetrical practice. And so we were at the hospital, you know, night and day. And sure enough, we'd see Jim turn up. We'd say, Jim, hey, gosh, what are you doing out here early in the morning? Well, buddy, I just got a few things I've got to do.
He's just like a combustible engine all the time. He's always thinking. He never stops thinking.
It's not at all unusual for him to come in the morning and pull a typed piece of paper out of his pocket and say, I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning and I had an idea.
There's no one at Willis Knighton that will outwork Jim Elrod.
He was out on hospital business Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night of this week. Last night was the first night that we had just to do something on our own. And even when we do something on our own, it usually turns out to involve the hospital somehow, you know. So I tell him the hospital is his mistress.
And you're okay to share?
Yeah. As long as it's just the hospital, that's okay.
Every now and then somebody asks me, why doesn't the board work harder? And so it brings to mind a story. They said to his son, I want you to come down and work in the business. And he said, the boy said, Dad, do you enjoy your work? And he said, sure, I enjoy my work. He said, well, there's no use in both of us working. And so I say, Jim Elrod, keep taking your vitamin pills.
Yes, Lord.
It's amazing how it has grown from just a hospital on Greenwood Road to the thinking of a major health system.
He came here probably about 30 years ago, and he has changed a small hospital into the largest non-government business north of Baton Rouge with 3,500 employees.
If I have any regrets about the growth of Willis Knighton, it's the fact that we have grown so fast and so large that now we've gone from 200 patients 200 employees when I started there to now over 3,500. And at one time I knew all of them by name.
The Willis Knighton employees are a large family, and they know that because that's what he tells them, and he treats them that way, us that way. We laugh together, we play together, we work together, and if there are deaths, we mourn together.
hardly a day goes by that he doesn't make rounds through the hospital and visit patients. I'll never forget early one morning, my father was in the hospital. It had major surgery not too long ago, about 7 months ago, open heart surgery, and Mr. Elrod was leaving for a trip out of the country, and he had an early flight, and that morning he stopped in and looked in on my dad. He has touched a lot of lives, and probably more than he even realizes or could ever realize.
Why are we growing? Because so we can touch other people's lives. And I think one of the things that has truly helped Willis-Knighton in terms of moving down that road of service and being able to grow is the fact that we have utilized our resources. Each year we tithe the bottom line of our hospital, our profits, and we turn that over to our Project Neighbor Health program to be utilized for projects such as the Martin Luther King clinic up on MLK Drive.
The feeling is a family or a mother with a young sick baby ought not to have to ride 37 minutes on a bus to get care, or an elderly person ought not to have to. So he went to our board and said, we need to dedicate some of our funds to a community that do not have funds to do for themselves.
He's got a tremendous sense of service. That's why we have the projects we have, like Martin Luther King and building the clinic in Ledbetter Heights.
And plus, he's given so much to the schools. Every school has been adopted. That is, they have playground equipment, band equipment coming from Willis-Knighton. So he's done just a wonderful, wonderful job.
What does that tell you?
That tells you he's a great man and a good friend of mine. That tells me the greatness of the person. He has a heart and a soul. That's what he tells me.
The Bible says that faith without works is dead, and I can certainly tell you that Jim Elrod's faith is very much alive. He does things for people. He has a big heart.
I think he exemplifies and he lives the Christian beliefs that he professes to have, more so than most anybody I've ever known.
It was my calling, and I consider it a calling to my ministry of healing, and one where I could give my talents and the best that the Lord's given me in service of other people. You can sometimes get so caught up in your profession or in what you're doing that you start feeling maybe even sorry for yourself, that I'm working so hard or things aren't going so well. But all you have to do is go upstairs and make rounds and meet the families and the patients of some of them terminally ill, and you leave feeling a lot better about yourself and also feeling better about life.